Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fiume, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the co-founders of Infinite Hitting Clubhouses, Randall Minogue and Bryan Dionisio. But first, I would love to introduce my co-host again, Kyla Dufresne of Foxy Box. How are you today?
Frank, thank you for having me. You know, I was laughing that I've got two sports people on the show today, so I'm going to just pretend that I'm Foxy Boxers so that I can fit in here. There
you go. Well, Kyla, you did a phenomenal job on our last episode as co-host. I appreciate you joining me. So thanks again for willing to be an accomplice in this.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. Before we bring on Randall and Bryan, here are three things you'll learn on today's show. One, how a pay dispute at a former employer pushed them to start their own baseball training business. Secondly, the creative way they expanded by converting struggling businesses instead of starting from scratch. And finally, why focusing strictly on hitting lessons gave them an edge over the competition. All right, well, let's bring on the guys. So Randall, Bryan, welcome to today's show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, well, Infinite Hitting Clubhouses, I think we all know what that is. So guys, why don't you take it away? First of all, I'd love to hear how you got started in the business.
Perfect. So me and Bryan, we're baseball guys through and through. We both played at the Division I level from the Northeast. And so we both moved down to Miami and we were working for another baseball facility company. And we had visions and hopes of, you know what, let's make this thing big, because everything Bryan and I do, we want to make it big. We want it. We love going out. We love achieving high goals that other people can't achieve. And so we were crushing it there. And then eventually one day the owner came to me and Bryan and said, "Hey fellas, guess what? You're making too much money. We're going to have to cut your pay." So then Bryan and I, we met up and we said, "Hey, you know, we can actually do this thing ourselves." And then a couple months later, we decided to open up our first location, kind of right across the street from where he was, and ended up being a massive success. And then we had this idea like, well, if we can do it here, let's see if we can do it somewhere else. And then we just kind of osmosis all across the country, just opening up locations.
That's awesome. We have to get something out of the way, though. You're huge baseball fans, baseball guys, and you're from the Northeast. Do I dare ask? Because I'm a huge baseball fan. Who's your team, Randall?
I'm a Red Sox guy.
Oh, God. All right, Bryan, what about you? Please bail us out.
New York Mets.
Oh,
New York Mets.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Well, guys, so anyway, I bleed Yankee pinstripe, so this is going to be interesting today.
Oh.
Bryan, let's hop on.
That's one thing me and Randall can agree on, is we do not like the New York Yankees.
Fair enough. And the feeling is mutual. All right. That's great. All right, we're going to have a lot of fun. Kyla, you're in for a treat. Now, Kyla, you're Canadian. Are you a Blue Jays fan?
I said, I think you're all wrong. I think it's just Blue Jays. You know, I don't watch sports really, but that's our only team. So I got to say that.
And interestingly enough, while we all fight about the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Mets, the Blue Jays are the only team that's actually going to win the division and actually has a chance.
There we go.
Figure.
Okay.
We're the three teams that spend all the money, but your team is somehow going to win.
Love that. I love that about us.
They're going to win the division, but doesn't mean they're going to win the World Series. Okay, Frank, there's still hope for the Red Sox.
I actually have more hope for the Red Sox than I do for the Yankees and the Mets, believe it or not. I think the Red Sox actually have the best shot, but we'll see. You got to play it out. Well, all right, let's talk a little bit about now Infinite Hitting. So how did you guys, so you guys obviously met up at the original place where you guys worked. And when you guys first opened the first location, I understand you kind of did something a little interesting in expanding your business, where you went into other mom and pop hitting facilities to kind of convert them. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a technique that's used in franchising, not always successfully. What did you guys find?
Yeah, so this was before we started franchising. We were kind of keeping it all in-house and corporate, and we wanted to, obviously we didn't have a lot of money to open up a second location, third location, fourth location from scratch. So Bryan and I were emailing, I don't know, we emailed probably 100 people a day, just hoping 1 to 2 people would reach out. And we ended up getting some people biting back, people saying, hey, look, I can't even afford our rent. We haven't made enough money to pay our employees. So Bryan and I came together. Our first one that we ended up opening was in Houston, Texas, out in Cypress, a little suburb out there. And that was when we knew we had something special, because we were able to make it work like that. They went from not being able to pay their rent to us quadrupling their best month in the first month we opened out there. And that's something Bryan and I are really proud about. And we were debating, we were going back and forth between a couple different facilities. And at the time, another facility where we were talking to, they were like, hey, we just opened about 6-7 months ago. We're still getting things going. However, we do want you to pay for the equity. We'll do financing on it for you guys. Bryan and I looked at each other and said, no, let's go to the one that's free, that's far away. Let's go make it work. Sure enough, 6 months later, that same business ended up messaging me and Bryan again saying, hey guys, how about we do something else now? And then we offered them for free and ended up sticking. And again, that ended up becoming one of our best locations that we have today still.
Wow, that's interesting. Bryan, I want to ask you this. I've noticed that in the hitting facility business, it is a challenge, and a lot of them don't make it. And a lot of them open. People love baseball. They're former players. They think they can make it work, but they just don't understand. And a lot of those businesses fail. What have you guys done that's been so different that has been able to succeed in a business that I've seen people time after time, they open, they close. They just can't get the turnstile spinning enough, so to speak?
I love that question. And really what it is most people who own baseball and softball facilities, it's really a passion project for them. And they don't really implement the skills that Randall and I have acquired over years in sales and marketing and really the operations side of the business. It's something where we knew that if we were just implement our systems, our playbook, that it really is as easy as running the play. Right? Like you go in there, you start marketing campaigns, you start to instruct high quality instruction that gets the customers to stick with you for a long period of time rather than just coming in for a quick fix and walking out the door. We really want to create a system that helped everyone involved in the business understand that it is a business rather than, somewhere for a kid and his dad to come and hit. We want it to be something that people can come in, get quality education, and as a business owner, be able to collect revenue that was predictable, which leads a little bit into our membership model that Randall can speak to a little bit more.
Sure. Now, Randall, every business has its challenges, especially starting out. Were there any particular challenges you'd love to share in the early days that you guys had to overcome?
Funny thing is, Bryan and I have this saying that goes against what every business owner in the history of business says. Everybody says business is hard. Bryan and I have the saying, business is easy. We really believe that if you follow the playbook, like Bryan was mentioning, and you stick to the script, there's no reason why it can't be successful. Another part that really separates us from those mom and pop shops is they all want to have the biggest facility, right? 20,000, 30,000 square feet. Bryan and I, we hate that. We want to be anywhere between 3,000 to 5,500 square feet. We want to maximize the space we have, and we want to stick to what we do best, and that's hitting lessons. We have people that say, hey, do you guys offer pitching lessons? I'd love to do pitching. I'd love to do fielding. No, we stick to what we know. We stick to what we're the best at, and we're the best at hitting.
Wow, that's so smart, because most business owners think they have to be everything to everybody. And if they offer enough services, they'll make enough money. But when you don't focus on a particular specialty, you're not servicing anyone then, right? Because people don't understand who you are and really what you're about. I think that's brilliant that you knew you guys are really, really good at hitting, and that's all we're going to do. Did you find early success? Like this thing is going to just crush it? Or was there like a pivotal moment where you felt we've got legs on this thing?
We really knew from day one. Going into the business, we walked in with just me, Randall, and one employee. And it didn't take us long to realize that everything that we were bringing to the table, like I mentioned before, the sales, the marketing, and really the experience that a customer would go through was something that boomed right from the start. And then our next test, our next moment where really the flashbulb hit that we had something really special was when we went out to that second location, replicated our success, and was able to rinse, wash, and repeat a couple times over. Then we really understood that we had a model that could succeed not only in any place, but really with anyone, due to our ability to train our employees and get them to understand that if they did run that play, they would be successful.
Wow. I don't know if you guys have hit incredible success early on, much better than me. Kyla, I don't know if these guys are good, lucky, or both. What do you think? And then you had challenges starting out, right, Kyla? Am I the only one that struggled?
No, I had lots of struggles too. And I always say I'm a 13-year overnight success. Y'all started not long ago and you've grown to what you have. It's a huge accomplishment. You should feel very proud.
Thank you so much. And we are very lucky. We're very blessed. We do understand that we have been able to experience a lot of success quicker than most people that do get into this industry or any industry for that matter. But this guy right here, Randall, he's one of the hardest working people that I know. It's the number one reason why I wanted to get into business with him. So it isn't a matter of just, throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's us setting our mind towards something and really burning the boats and saying, we are going to make this happen. So there's a lot of hard work, a lot of challenges involved, but we believe that as long as we have each other, there's nothing that we can't overcome.
Wow. It is so rare to have two, co-founders come in, buddies that have actually make it work, that you guys can, set your egos aside. How have you guys divvied up the kind of responsibilities between the two of you? And tell me about whose strength is the other person's weakness. I'd love to hear how you guys complement each other.
The cool thing is, that's why we partnered up. Bryan is really great at the marketing side. I handle a lot of the day-to-day operations side, but Bryan really doesn't have any weaknesses. Bryan's like a Swiss Army knife. I tell you, that man can do anything. But no matter what separates me and Bryan apart from other founders, co-founders, and partners is we really stick to our goal and vision. And if we do have a disagreement on anything, we always think, okay, what's going to get us to that goal of exiting in 5 years, of getting to 150, 200 locations? And that puts everything aside. And we always know that if we're keeping that on the top of our mind, we're going to blow everybody out of the water.
You guys certainly have one particular trait that stands out in my mind. That is the number one trait I think that it takes to be successful in business, and that is hunger. You guys both have it. I can see it. It is crystal clear to me. And, founders start businesses for all different reasons, but you guys have certainly, you hit the ground running hard, and there's no question about it. You guys are going to be super successful because I don't think you would let yourself fail. Failure is not an option.
Amen. And in preparation to this podcast, I heard you speaking about the PhD. I think it was passion, hunger, and drive. So yeah, that definitely, what Randall said about us being aligned in our mission and vision, that's what keeps us from, ever letting our egos take part in what we do. But you won't find two more hungry individuals than us two right here.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Rick Pitino, and that's a Rick Pitino quote. His first book, Success is a Choice, he talked about PhD attitude. And so that's my belief as well. And Rick was always a big influence on me and everything, he's done in the college basketball world.
Very cool.
Tell me, so what made you guys decide to franchise ultimately?
So when we were opening up all these corporate locations, obviously it can be tougher to manage employees. And we really wanted to focus on quality of, one, the instructions, but two, the business overall. So we ended up all those locations that we decided to flip, we ended up selling them to become franchisees. Basically focusing on, if there's an owner right there, they're going to be able to become that regional manager. Instead of us having to go out and hire a bunch of different regional managers, that owner is going to have so much interest in making sure that location is going to be successful. They're investing money, their time, and ultimately we've seen numbers skyrocket at those locations that have flipped because of it.
And so how many franchises do you guys have now in the United States that are open?
That are open, 17, and 24 awarded.
Awesome. And how many states are you guys in as well?
We're in 8 states right now.
Sweet. And so tell me a little bit about the growth strategy. Do you plan on continuing only franchising, or do you plan on expanding company-owned locations?
Right now, we plan on staying with the franchise model. We love it. We have one corporate headquarter location out in Clearwater, Florida. So all our franchisees, once they sign on, they come to that location. We show them what a functioning location looks like. That's where they do all their training for about 10 days. And then we send them back off to their location and they're good to go. But right now, everything we do is all in-house as well. We're not a part of any FSO. We have an in-house sales guy, in-house marketing, and we're killing it that way right now with a lot of quality leads.
That's awesome. With 4,000 franchise brands that are out there, what do you think is attracting people to your brand versus other opportunities?
First and foremost, we believe that our brand is very fun, very energetic. It's something that I mentioned the passion project earlier. A lot of people have kids who play baseball or softball and are excited about not only having a business that can generate them income, but also something that their own kids can use on a day-to-day basis to fulfill their careers. But other than that, when we speak to our prospects, we let them know how much support they're going to receive from Randall and myself. We let them know that we're here for them basically as a 24/7 hotline for them to receive any support or answer any questions they may have. But we've also taken it a step further in letting them know all the cadences we have with them to make sure that we're ahead of every problem they might have. We're ahead of any questions they might have as in regards to how to operate this business and how to be successful. So I think that when prospects first are introduced to us, they have their own thought in their mind of how cool this business can be. But after speaking with us, I think they really get excited about how dedicated we are to them and how involved we are through every step of the process.
Sure. Well, Kyla and I have talked about this before, about how founders find themselves with people that are interested in our franchise, and they love the idea of being the business owner and owning the brand, maybe because they were, a raving fan customer. Kyla, I don't know about you, but I can see in this, especially me being a baseball fan, one of the challenges the guys have to overcome is that they find baseball fanatics that get caught up in it, thinking, this is a great baseball business. I get to be the guy that owns this. And Kyla, you've had a similar situation, right? With people that love what you do because they've been a raving fan.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I want to say, my very first few franchisees were customers and loved the brand. And you will find that my very first franchisee also, fortunately for me, had business acumen and experience as well. She came from the restaurant industry. So I was very lucky for that to be my first franchisee. Is kind of a rare unicorn.
Right.
But having people that love the brand and then teaching them how to be leaders it's a different skill set. So that's why people join the brand as well. That's why they join franchises, is so that they have that support on how to run the business that they love to be in, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, we tell people all the time, like, hey, we love that you're passionate about baseball, but we want you to be passionate about making money too.
Very cool.
Absolutely. So, Randall, how do you guys overcome you've got the guy who played in the minor leagues and, he blew out the knee and didn't make it, and he wants to own this business and he wants to be the guy. And how do you help separate that person's love of baseball for love of success?
The two can kind of go hand in hand. Some of our best franchisees actually don't even have kids that play baseball. They don't even know anything about baseball.
Excellent.
Like Bryan was mentioning earlier, if they're able to follow a specific system and our playbook that we have written out for them, they're going to be able to be successful. And then if you match on top of the baseball acumen with it, it's a home run, no pun intended.
All right. So tell me then, and Bryan, you're the marketing guy. So who's the type of person that really thrives in your franchise system? Since you've got it, a dozen and a half franchisees, you've started to see some common threads on who is really like, why are they successful?
So from a marketing perspective, we really do not exclude anyone from taking advantage of this opportunity. But where this really comes into play, where we really find the best people for awarding franchises through our qualifying questions once they enter our pipeline. So we ask them questions about what would make them a right fit to be awarded a territory, and to be a part of our infinite hitting family. We'll ask them, what are they looking for? Are they looking for something that's completely hands off, or are they looking to be more involved in the business? We ask them about what is their involvement in the community currently? Do they have their finger on the pulse of what's happening in their town or the location that they want to open in? Because we really want those franchisees who are committed to running a business. That community aspect that I just mentioned, if someone wants to open a location that's states away or cities away, we know from experience now that if a owner can have a relationship with local little leagues or local teams, that can go a long way towards boosting the awareness of their business inside that community. So really, these kind of qualifying questions help us understand what the prospect is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we can really understand that, we can either say yes to letting them into our family, or we can help them understand what's going to be necessary for them to be successful. And they can really talk themselves into it or talk themselves out of it, depending on whether or not they're ready to be involved in that level of commitment.
Okay. And from a customer perspective, what's the most popular age of kids that are in your program?
So we really work from anyone. I know you have an interest in adult softball. I heard that as well. So we work from anybody, whether it be adult softball, Major League Baseball players, or even kids as young as like 6 years old. Our target audience is in that 8 to 12-year-old range. That's really a result of that kind of triangle that you get when it comes to playing professional baseball. There's less players at the top of that funnel,
Sure.
where at the bottom, that pool of players, everyone in the introductory level, there's just a larger amount of people in that stage of development. And so a lot of them are coming in to get better, to progress and make their high school team or get a college scholarship. So 8 to 12-year-old is really our target audience. And from a marketing perspective, we're targeting the parents of 8 to 12-year-olds. But just like on the national prospect level, when we're looking at franchisees, we really don't close the door on anyone who's looking to get better. Our marketing is really set to be all-inclusive, and then through asking qualified questions on the local level as well, we find out if we're a right fit for that prospect.
Okay, great. Well, one of the huge advantages that you have at Randall, you mentioned, is the size of the facility, that we keep it nice and tight, that people are not overpaying for a huge warehouse space. What's the investment range to open a location?
All in, we're looking around $250,000. And that's giving yourself enough room to have first 3 months of rent, first 3 months for employees, and still have a little extra in the tank.
And how big is a territory, or how far apart do you try to keep facilities from one another?
So we keep it based off of population for kids aged 10 years old to 19 years old. So we're basically looking for them to be having at least 30,000 boys and girls in the 10 to 19-year-old range. And we use a mapping platform that maps that out for us. And those have been the locations that have seen the highest results. So instead of it being like, hey, we're going with a 5-mile radius, a 10-mile radius, 20 miles, we're going off of population. So that way we can make sure everybody has enough in their territory to be successful.
And sometimes you may even get a 50-year-old there. I actually hit at your Clearwater location a few years back.
There you go.
Wow, that's really cool.
Tell me, guys, what's been one of the biggest surprises? I mean, you came out of the gate, firing all cylinders, but there had to have been something in franchising that surprised you. Don't tell me it was this easy. everything across the board. Give me something. What's one surprise that you guys were looking at each other going, I wasn't expecting that when we started this?
The SBA directory.
Okay.
That thing has been a pain in the ass for the longest time. So when we first started franchising, it was literally right when we were talking to our very first franchisee ever. And they were trying to go through this process, and they're like, yeah, I can't get a loan. They said you got to be on this SBA list. So we're trying to get on this SBA list. Turns out, after going back and forth, they ended up abolishing it.
Right.
And so this guy finally told the bank didn't realize it. That took some time. And then now lead up to this year, we found out, oh, you got to get back on the list. So we applied for it back as soon as we heard, we applied. And it's been about 5 months, 6 months now that we've been waiting to hear back from the SBA. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that something can happen soon.
Right.
But we've been able to, our sales guy, Corey, he's been able to make a lot of relationships with outside banks and lending to help get our franchisees settled up there.
And we're also never sitting on our hands. So in this time when we've been waiting for the SBA, we've been taking this opportunity to really hone in on how we can give as much value to our franchisees as possible, continuing to build out our operating manual, continue to build out these playbooks and these systems that allow our franchisees to take the guesswork out of everything in the business, whether it be posting on social media or it be training new instructors or helping general managers understand the ebbs and the flows of making sales at a location. We're trying to figure out all the ways to grow each location that's currently open while we're letting the SBA play with our heads a little bit in terms of growing the actual scale of our franchise.
Good for you. That's awesome. What about the financial requirements? So it's $250,000 all in to open a location. What are the financial requirements for the franchisee to qualify?
We ask that they have at least $100,000 liquid. That way they're able to cover the franchise fee up front with that. And then we're going to be able to help them get the rest through funding.
Sweet. And where do you guys see this brand growing over the next 5-10 years, right? You're hoping to have about 19 locations, 20 locations by year end. What are we looking at over the next 5 to 10 years, though?
5 years, at least 100 locations is on our chart. Realistically, we want to be in the 150 to 200 range.
So, Bryan, what is it going to take to get that many locations open over the next 5 years?
Great question again. So, number one, we need the SBA to help us out a little bit. If they can get us on that list and we can keep the momentum that we had right before they brought this thing back. But we're on pace for that. If you really think about it, we're about to be at 20 locations, like you said. And in 5 years, we do know that we're going to be at that 100 locations. But Randall mentioned earlier that we aim big, we go hard. And so we're trying to get to 100 locations next year, and we're going to do everything in our power to be there. What it takes is making sure that our franchisees are successful, first and foremost. We want to make sure that they're kicking butt every single day so that when they're validators for what we contribute to their success, what prospect wouldn't want to be a part of our family if they know that we are doing everything in our power to help them be successful? And then on top of that, it's really just doing everything that we can to keep the energy and the excitement up about our brand as a whole. Randall and I are really starting to make a push to do things like this, to really speak about our brand and let people know, make them more aware of how excited we are, and show up at more events, show up at more conferences, and really just make this more of a public affair because I told you earlier, Randall's grinding harder than anybody that I know. But he's been doing it behind closed doors. He's been doing it in a way where it shows up in our numbers, but it doesn't show up publicly to see how hard we're working to make this brand kick off. So in the beginning, it's just going to be helping our franchisees, but doing more things like this, having opportunities like this that we're very grateful for, is going to allow us to make this a national brand that people can all get excited about.
I bet. All right. Well, if someone was interested in learning more about opening one of your locations, where would they go?
InfiniteHitting.com. And there's a big tag at the top saying become a franchisee, own a franchise. Visit our website and you'll be able to see everything about what we do, who we are, and how you can be a part of this infinite hitting family.
Nice. All right. Well, last thing I have for you, this is completely off topic. This episode is going to air after the World Series. Randall, tell me, why are the Boston Red Sox going to win the World Series?
I'm being from Boston, I'm sometimes a cynic though. So, I mean, let's say, the Red Sox are going to win the World Series because Roman Anthony's going to come back. He's going to help them get there. The pitching is going to be fantastic. Aroldis Chapman's going to be closing out every single game. And when they win the World Series, Frank, and go to it, we'll take you to a game.
All right, sounds good. Bryan, why are the Mets going to win the World Series? You guys are dying for a freaking ring. It's been a long time, dude.
Yes. Before I get into the Mets, so I want to let you know, Randall is very superstitious. So he's the type of person that, like, if he speaks on something, it's like, don't say the no-hitter's happening until the no-hitter is done, right? So you just made him say the Red Sox are winning the World Series, and you definitely got him hot a little bit.
And I knew I could have put money on he was going to say the words Roman Anthony. I knew he was going to say Roman Anthony. Somehow he was going to fit that in.
Absolutely. So the Mets are going to win. So we spent the big money, like you mentioned earlier. When you spend money like that, when you're a major risk taker, like Steve Cohen is, you end up coming out the other side a winner. So we have 3 guys, Lindor, Pete Alonso, and Juan Soto, that are going to carry us over. But our young pitching staff, our prospects that came through, I have a feeling they're going to turn some heads. It's going to start off with sweeping the Dodgers. Then we're going to sweep the Phillies. And then we'll probably sweep the Red Sox to win it all.
Wow. Okay. Kyla, put both of these guys in their place. Tell them why the Blue Jays are going to win it.
Well, obviously because we're Canadian and we have empathy, heart, and humor. So that's how we're going to win.
Awesome.
Oh,
well, I'm not as confident about the New York Yankees because of their bullpen is absolutely horrendous, and they miss every part of fundamental baseball there is. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But anyway, I wish you guys all the best, continued success with your brand, and thanks for being on the show. And Kyla, thank you again so much for co-hosting.
Thank you for having me, Frank. It's fun as always.
Thank you so much for having us, you guys. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.